Okay, we got a cool new project at the shop today. We've got this 65 Mustang. It's Mr. Brian's car. Really cool car. Got a lot of cool stuff. Custom door panels, TMI seats. It's got a 347 stroker with a C6. Got custom wheels, custom paint. This is my kind of hot rod right here. But what we need to do is get this thing running better. See, he's got no overdrive. He's got no air conditioning, and he's got no EFI. And we live down here in the South, so it's very difficult to drive this car in the summer. We've elected to go ahead and take care of the EFI problem today. Under this custom painted hood, we have the 347 stroker. Got an HEI conversion, Edelbrock carb, has the big wide cog belt, aluminum radiator, ceramic coated headers, all the right stuff. So first step for us is gonna be get that battery disconnected, get that carburetor off of here, investigate the fuel lines of how we wanna run that, start getting this EFI installed. So step one, Rusty's gonna go ahead and get the fuel line disconnected. Then we're gonna get the throttle linkage disconnected, get the PCV disconnected, the vacuum line in the back that goes down to shift the transmission, and get this Edelbrock out of the way. Ew, stank.
It's zip tied over here.
All right, take it straight outside and dump it upside down on the grass that's overgrowing our asphalt right here, right here. Turn it upside down. We got our directions, our wiring harness. Don't know what's in there yet. Another big box. Too many frickin' boxes. Black Sniper 2. Well, this is the first time they've come in a box like this for me. Okay, we got a black Sniper unit here. Got our CAN bus, our temp sensor. The long one is O2, and this is your options harness. All right, got the black unit mounted on top of the intake. That looks really good with this combination. We got the fuel line out of the way. We think we're going to have to mount the regulator right here on the fender rail. Just like that, since on the Ford, the pump and return is on this side of the engine. We'll have to get a 180-degree fitting for the front and a 45-degree fitting for the back to get the fuel lines routed over this way. All right, the next thing we're gonna have to do is determine where to put the water temperature sender. We found this cool little Ford thermostat housing that has a temperature sensor bung in the top. Gonna be replacing that unit right there, which means we have to drop the coolant to get this unit changed. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. Well, that didn't take too long. We got the new thermostat housing on with the temperature sensor and the EFI hooked up. We got the yellow wire running to the TAC output of the EFI distributor. His old gauge TAC output to run the gauge inside will go to the options harness, this gray wire, and that will give it a TAC output. The EFI has to be driven off the distributor. The injectors will never fire if it don't see rotation. Then we got power and ground here that got to go straight to the battery. The pink wire will go inside to the key switched ignition, and the blue wire goes all the way to the fuel pump. The O2 sensors hang in there, and also you can see right here is your screen connector. So pretty simple, pretty quick, not too bad. What do you got going on over here?
Bagging stuff.
You're bagging up stuff?
I'm bagging. Find all this food crap.
Are teenagers ever in a good mood? So what's in here? We got fuel. I guarantee you that's a fuel pump. This is probably a fuel sender.
Another box.
And a box in a box. More cardboard, just what we need.
Right.
It says open other end. So that end.
Oh, this is. Of course, they're gonna need freaking 7-inch thick.
7-inch thick.
Square.
Why are they always so grumpy? Ooh, shiny. Tanks ink tanks are powder coated so they stay beautiful forever. Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. We must have fuel pump, cinder. What's the third one? Oh, probably the filler neck. It's probably this one in the back. Sweet. God, these tanks are gorgeous. This is what I got in my truck. I love these things. Now let me put the first screw in first. This takes the air out of match drilling. So pretty good first day. Regulator and return hose is mounted. We've ordered the 2 fittings for the throttle body. Tack wires hooked up. Gauge tack is hooked into the options harness. We're all the way out here to the battery where we need to be here. The pink wire, like I said, is key switched. We got to find a spot to go through the firewall with the key switched wire and the display Cat 5 cable. And then the blue one will go all the way to the back. I'm gonna call it a day. It's hot. I'm ready for the pool. We put the LED taillights in the truck earlier this morning and this, so we've been busy today. It ain't like we've been messing around. So I'm gonna call it a day. And for you, it'll just be a couple seconds, but for us, we'll get back on this tomorrow. We got the client's really nice trunk closeout custom panel kit out, so you can see what's really going on down in here. Here's the original sender. We went ahead and labeled the wires for ease of reassembly, and it's just perimeter screws. Most of the time when these cars come here, they're full of gas, which this one is no exception. How to handle that? Good question. I know, right? Ooh, right before the rain started coming down. Luckily, this stock fuel tank had a drain in it. I was able to drain the fuel, so should be able to pull it right out of here. Yeah. I'm gonna melt. All right. I don't know if you can hear me over the rain. It's really starting to come down now. But we'll get this edge all cleaned up, put some foam down there. But the good news is there's no rust. From deafening rain to eerie silence. Anywho, the tank's ink tank fits beautifully. The only issue I see is that feed and return are gonna have to come to here, which this car didn't have return, so probably have to drill a hole somewhere over here to get fuel inside into here. Put a nice grommet in there. This is gonna be for the cinder, which the wires are already here. And then obviously the filler neck in the back. Not that big a deal, just custom, you know. It's always custom, never goes as planned. Just a little problem, just a little problem. All right, there's gonna be a couple of things to discuss here safety-wise, especially when you're dealing with a unibody car that doesn't have a full frame. On a full frame car, I'll take the fuel line and the fuel pump power line to the frame, run it down the frame, nice and safe. But on a unibody car, even the factory didn't do that. So the return line on the Ford up here in the front was this lower line right here. We tapped into that off our regulator for return. We routed the feed line directly above it through a hole with a grommet. We have the power line going through there also, protected with the grommet and tied on both sides so it can't move. And then down here in the wheel well, you can see the old feed line here. I said return earlier, but I meant the feed line. I always use the factory feed line as my return line. So you can see it's got a rubber grommet. What we're gonna wanna do is follow this factory feed line from front to back. It's gonna look weird because it goes like right behind the front tire, then it goes over the drive shaft, which by today's standards isn't entirely safe, but that's where the factory put it, and there's not a lot of options because without subframe connectors, there is nowhere between the front frame rails and the back frame rails that I'm comfortable routing these. So we're gonna take those two lines, the fuel pump feed line and the main fuel line. We're gonna follow the existing fuel line all the way back to right before the tank. We'll have to come through the floor pan to get to the top for feed and return to go into the tank sink pump. But that's kind of how you handle that. Unless you're building a custom car, there's really not any other way to do that. We've made sure the wheel at full lock to lock doesn't come anywhere near it. And everything will be tied up nice and neat. We'll put a fuel filter in the back somewhere accessible. We may even put it up inside here since he's got that really nice closeout panel. So we'll put the fuel vent and the fuel filter up in here where he can get to it without even getting under the car. First time we've been able to do that. All right, I want to give you a couple Ford only tips because on a Ford, like we've said before, the fuel pump and fuel lines run up the driver's side. Chevrolet is not the case. Everything's over here normally. So what we have to do is we have to get some special fittings that don't come in the kit to make it clean, make it a nice clean install. In this case, we've routed the fuel lines up the front of the shock tower where we mounted the regulator. We're coming across the engine. So we're gonna put a 180-degree fitting here for the feed line. And then back here in the back, this return line, we're gonna run a 90-degree. That way our fuel lines will come nice and clean over here, nice and smooth. You also don't get the 1/4-inch pipe thread -6 male fittings that go on the fuel pump. I wish they supplied those because I always have to buy them and I always forget, but it's just a couple things you gotta do. What's the other issue? So most of the time you have to run a 45-degree fitting off of the throttle body here. Depending on the customer's car, most of the time everybody's trying to be as low as possible. And these fittings are, they're kind of high. A drop base air cleaner will barely clear those. So we like to run at least a 45-degree to get the fuel lines down and away. But in the Ford case, like I said, you got to run some different fittings. Not that big a deal, 30, 40 bucks extra, but you need to keep that in mind if you're quoting the job out. I'm going to have to take a second here and apologize for the fact that there's no audio during the fuel pump build and the fuel sender build. If you search through our videos, we have 2 or 3 other videos building the fuel tanks up, and they're all pretty much the same. So we're going to turn on the car, fire up the EFI. Notice how the fuel pump did not prime on the first startup because you don't have a wizard calibration done yet. So when you first fire it up, you're going to get this no calibration detected. You're going to hit OK. You're going to go into the wizard, Sniper wizard. Your finger doesn't work as good as the stylus. We got a Sniper 2. Next. We got an 8-cylinder. Next. 347 cubic inches. Next. Target idle speed. I like to start at 800. And we go from there. And then the cam. This is a street and strip cam in this thing. We have no power adder. We're using the coil negative for a trigger. And it's going to pick a file there and start. Okay, we're going to cycle the ignition. which in this car is a power switch, and we should hear the fuel pump prime at this point. All right, let's hear the fuel pump cycle. All right, 60 PSI of fuel. Okay, let's do a leak check over the whole car, and then as long as there's no fuel leaks, we are ready to fire this bad boy up. I don't see any fuel dripping. I see a lot of trash under this thing. I don't see any leaks anywhere. All right, I think we're ready to fire it up. You want to do the honors?
Yeah.
You got to grab the control head. We've got 11 volts. We're at 94 degree ambient temperature. Go ahead and start the car. All right. She's running. See, what we're looking for here is commanded RPM versus IAC position, and we'll keep tuning until we get that where we want it. His voltage is a little low, but we'll go from there with that. So you can see we're idling above the RPM that I set of 800, and we're only having 7-8% of IAC. It's because we haven't hit 160 degrees yet. Until the coolant temp hits 160, we're in open loop mode, not learning. As soon as the coolant temp hits 160, it'll start learning and calibrating, and it'll set the parameters that I set in there. Right now, it's just trying to keep the air fuel safe. You'll notice the voltage is low on this car, so we got to figure out what that's all about. All right, well, there you have it. There's the whole install. Very simple. While you saw the screen here, you saw that it was learning. It's hit 160 degrees. It's idling at what I told it to. It does have a healthy cam in this 347, so 900 is probably about as low as it's going to idle. Other than that, this thing should be a pretty cool cruiser now. Now we just get him a 5-speed in here and get him some air conditioning, and he'll have a pretty cool hot rod. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that show. Hope you learned something again. If not, we'll do it again shortly. Take care, guys.